Padre Dave, I really appreciate the sincere nature with which you asked your questions, and so I wanted to give you input from my corner, whatever corner that is. I suppose you could call me an atheist. That's definitely what I call myself. But as Angel 13 has already pointed out, atheism is not a religion. We're just a group of people who share something that we don't believe in. So, yeah, there's no rule book, and I'm only speaking for myself. Okay, so many atheists are champions of science and logic, which is pretty cool. But what I'm going to talk about here is not exactly science. It's just sort of a life, my description of what it means to be alive based on kind of how I feel. Certainly there are many atheists who would laugh at my hippie talk, which is just to illustrate a point that we're not members of a religion. When I was 19, I was in a car accident. I suffered a lot of broken bones. I had a fractured skull, both my lungs collapsed. I was in a coma for 2 weeks, the whole near-death thing. So when I came out of the coma, I had crazy amnesia. I learned a lot about my history. I had to study my own past from reading my letters and looking at photos, asking friends about, stuff that had happened. I was studying to learn how I would behave, what would Snow Pete do? So even with missing chunks of my memory, I still knew I was the same person. So I still had this sense of unaltered self, and that might be what a lot of people would call the soul, but that doesn't really make sense to me. I have a very strong sense of being alive as this intricate combination of three-dimensional and fourth-dimensional elements coming together in unison as an organism that identifies itself as me. And the crazy part is that these three-dimensional elements are constantly in motion, not just electrons going around a neutron, but also the eating and the shitting and the getting larger and the hair loss and skin constantly being shed. We're not the same body that we were when we were born. We're not the same body that we were a few years ago. Our three-dimensional bodies are morphing through time and space, while our minds are changing all of the time, recording new memories, having new ideas. Our opinions change. I didn't used to like broccoli, and now I love it. We can hallucinate, we can forget, we can learn a new language, we can create false memories of things that never happened to us. So, crazy. If any one part of a body can change, what is that bit that calls itself me? And what's more, how is that bit different from what identifies itself as you? That bit that identifies itself as me, that spot of consciousness that is traveling as my tesseract through time and space in the universe to experience the universe, is the universe itself. When you remember yesterday, you remember it in pieces. You don't remember it all at once. You remember what you had for breakfast. You remember pouring the milk on the cereal. Perhaps you remember stepping on your cat's tail, or whatever. When the universe becomes conscious of itself, it becomes conscious in pieces in the same sort of way. Sometimes it's experiencing catness, and sometimes it's experiencing, dogness or tableness. Right now, your bit of the universe is experiencing what it's like to exist in your life's context, and mine, of course, and mine. That's all I'm going to say about that, because it's better for, face-to-face, coffee shop, late-night conversation than for, YouTube monologues. Probably just sounds silly right now. You seem to be very concerned about what an atheist believes happens after death. So, I'll tell you what I think. I believe nothing can be created or destroyed. It can only change forms. We already know that when a person dies, the body doesn't vanish up to heaven on an escalator. Some part of me is my body, and so when my body, is decomposing, that's some part of me. yeah, so some part of me becomes worm food eventually. I'm not really bothered by that because some part of me is worm food right now. We're all being, we're all full of parasites and processing worm shit in some way or another right now. That's okay. What about the consciousness that comes to know itself as me? Well, I don't remember what it was like before I became aware of myself. In fact, not being aware of myself when I was in a coma, it was kind of relaxing, as much as I remember it, which is kind of not at all, which is sort of funny to remember something. Okay, never mind. I don't really need to know what happens, what comes next. I'm really quite entertained, even overwhelmed by figuring out what happens right now. Good luck with your journey, Dave. I hope that you find the answers that you're looking for, and take care. Cheers.